The average prices of gasoline and diesel have both increased for the fifth consecutive week, according to the Korea National Oil Corporation, with gasoline rising 15.8 won compared to the week prior to 1,629 won per liter.
국내 주유소 휘발유와 경유 평균 판매가가 5주 연속 동반 상승한 가운데 그중 휘발유는 전주 대비 15.8원 상승한 리터당 1,629원을 기록했다고 한국석유공사가 발표했습니다. All right, let's talk about average oil prices then.
Yes, so just in time for the wintry weather, we're seeing, gas prices, going up for the fifth consecutive week now. So they've been consistently on the rise. Gas prices up, like the headline says, 15.81 to about an average of 1,629 won per liter, and diesel also up to about 1,459 won per liter. And that's 5 consecutive weeks of increases there. Now, the reason for that is experts are saying that international oil prices are actually going down. They fell this week because the U.S. dollar is actually strengthening, probably due to the election win of President Trump, and also OPEC, the organization that decides kind of the output of oil in the Middle East, revised down its outlook for global oil demand. So you can expect oil prices to probably turn that hump and fall in the coming weeks because we know there's always a delay in local prices at the pump compared to international oil prices.
Yep, absolutely. 국제 유가가 그대로 바로 반영이 되지는 않습니다. 국내 휘발유 가격이나 경유 가격은 국제 유가가 보이는 변동을 한 1, 2주 후쯤에
2 to 3 weeks.
네, 2,
in some
3주
cases.
후, 2, 3주 후쯤에 이제 반영을 하게 된다라고 볼 수 있는데요. 대체적으로. 근데 이제 가장 최근에는 국제 유가가 조금 떨어진 모습이기 때문에 우리도 그러면은 아마 휘발유 가격, 경유 가격이 한 2, 3주 후에는 좀 떨어지지 않을까 이렇게 기대를 하는데 일단은 5주 연속 상승을 한 모습입니다. 가장 최근 평균 휘발유 가격이 1,629원이었다. 네. 연속이라는 단어를 한번 볼까요? Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
No. I was going to say 5 consecutive weeks gas prices have been on the rise, meaning that one after the other, every week for 5 weeks straight, successively, prices have gone up to where they are at right now.
And you mentioned loads of different expressions there that mean the same thing. I'm sure our listeners caught that. So there's successive, straight.
Yes.
They all mean the same thing as consecutive.
One after the other.
Exactly. 연이은 뭐뭐, 연속 뭐뭐 했을 때 이런 단어들을 다 사용할 수가 있겠고요. 여기서는 consecutive 앞에다가 fifth를 넣고 뒤에다 week를 넣었죠. Fifth consecutive week. 5주 연속째라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. For the fifth consecutive week. What about the week prior?
Right. So we're comparing gas prices on a weekly basis. So prices this week were up compared to the week before, meaning prior or previous or earlier.
Yes, and you could say the week before, but it just doesn't sound as newsy. It sounds very casual.
Or the previous week.
Yeah, exactly. So with your friends, you could just say last week, or the week before, or the previous week. I don't think you would use the week prior when you're just talking with your friends.
I generally don't, no.
But this does sound quite formal and newsy.
Right.
So it's used a lot in the news.
Yeah, and just as idiomatic expression, just the week prior, the day, the month prior.
Yes.
In that order. You could say the prior week as well.
You could say that. That's right. 네. 물론 prior week 해도 되겠지만 많은 경우 특히 뉴스에서 the week prior, the month prior 그리고 이제 앞에다 compare to까지 붙이면은 그 전주에 비해서, 그 전 달에 비해서 아니면은 뭐 작년에 비해서 할 수도 있어요. Compared to the year prior 이렇게 얘기할 수도 있습니다. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. The average prices of gasoline and diesel have both increased for the fifth consecutive week, according to the Korea National Oil Corporation, with gasoline rising 15.8 won compared to the week prior to 1,629 won per litre. Now let's move on to the next headline.
A Norwegian fisherman inadvertently caught a U.S. submarine when the nuclear-powered vessel's propellers became ensnared in his fishing nets and towed them for 2 nautical miles.
노르웨이 어부가 던져놓은 어망에 의도치 않게 미국 해군 소속 핵추진 잠수함의 프로펠러가 걸리면서 어망이 2해리까지 끌려가는 사고가 발생했습니다.
Yeah, quite the story for this fisherman
goodness.
that day. So this gentleman was he catches halibut. That's his catch. It's a flat fish,
Yeah.
sort of like a kwangol, nopchi, I think.
Okay.
But he got an unusual message this one day from authorities saying that one of the propellers of this nuclear-powered submarine had been tangled up in his nets and had dragged him out for about 2 nautical miles, which is about 4 or 5 kilometers.
Okay.
And this submarine was actually the USS Virginia, and it was actually docked or in port in Norway, and it was heading out to sea, escorted by one of the Norwegian Coast Guard vessels. But it was able to finally cut it loose from the nets, and nobody, thankfully, was hurt or injured in this incident.
그래요. 원래는 뭐 넙치, 광어 이런 것들을 잡는 어부가 갑자기 이 잠수함의 프로펠러를 낚게 되는 격이었어요.
Yeah.
왜 그러냐면은 이 프로펠러가 이 어망에 딱 엉켜가지고 결국은 이제 낚시꾼을 끌고 간 거죠. 한
Yeah.
5km 정도를.
He was towed.
He was towed. He was dragged.
Yes.
Well, let's look at that expression. Yeah, towed.
Yeah, it means to pull from behind,
Yeah.
like a tow truck.
Yes.
Right? If your car breaks down or if you get into an accident, even before the police arrive,
Yeah.
especially in Korea, you'll have tow trucks
Oh, no, I don't like
arriving,
that.
right?
Yeah.
They call them wreckers, rekha. I believe that's Konglish, though.
그래요?
But normally,
견인차.
yes, normally you call them tow trucks.
tow truck라고 하죠, 영어로. 네. towing이라는 게 이렇게 뭐 견인하다 아니면 인양하다가 될 수도 있는데 여기서는 이제 끌고 갔다라는 뜻으로 그래서 끌고 간 모양새가 됐고요. 그러다 보니까 이 어부가 뜻하지 않게
Yeah.
잠수함을 낚은 그런 이야기가 돼버렸어요.
Yeah, I don't think he went out that
Looking
day
for that.
looking for a
No.
submarine, but because he caught this submarine, or it got caught
Yeah.
inadvertently, right?
Inadvertently.
He didn't mean to do it. It was unintentional, accidental, and unwitting.
inadvertently. 이게 in 붙고요. 그다음에 advertently. inadvertently라고 하면은 의도치 않게 뭐 우연히라는 의미가 될 수 있어요. 그래서 여기서는 이 노르웨이의 어부가 생각지도 못하게 그 어망에 프로펠러가 이렇게 엉키는 바람에 자신이 끌려갔지만 이제 뭐 그냥 모양새는 마치 자기가 프로펠러를 잡은 것처럼 돼버렸어요. 자, 그다음에는 The propellers became ensnared in the fishing nets.
Right. So a snare, S-N-A-R-E, is a sort of a trap. That's used like a noose that's used to hunt or catch small animals, birds. And when you get ensnared by it, then you are taken in as if you're in a snare. So it's caught or it's tangled up
Sure.
where your movement is impeded. E-N-S-N-A-R-E-D, ensnared. tangled라는 단어도 지금 써주셨죠? 무언가에 걸렸다. 그래서 이 피싱 네트 생각하시면 되겠고요. 그 어망에 이렇게 엉킨 프로펠러입니다. So the propellers became ensnared in the fishing nets. 다시 제가 읽어보겠습니다. A Norwegian fisherman inadvertently caught a US submarine when the nuclear-powered vessel's propellers became ensnared in his fishing nets and towed them for 2 nautical miles. An endangered manatee was rescued from a pond in the U.S. state of Florida after presumably being displaced by hurricane flooding and becoming stranded.
미국 플로리다주의 한 연못에서 멸종 위기종 매너티 한 마리가 구조됐습니다. 이 매너티는 허리케인 헐린 당시 홍수로 떠밀려와 연못에 고립됐던 것으로 보입니다. First of all, Shane, what's a manatee?
A manatee is it's a mammal
Okay.
that lives in the water. Typically, they live in shallow water, and they're herbivores. So they're not meating, they're not a threat to humans, but they often live in shallow waters, so they're very close to humans. And I think their biggest threat usually are ship's propellers. Speaking of propellers, ship's propellers, they often get injured by that. But what happened in this case was this 2-year-old manatee weighed about 500 pounds, so that's over 300 kilograms. And it was displaced because there was this massive hurricane recently in Florida, Hurricane Helene.
Right.
And it was a Category 4. And it wound up in this pond because this hurricane flooding, and it was stranded there. It couldn't do anything. Nearby residents discovered this manatee and actually began feeding it things like lettuce for it to survive. Luckily, it was rescued, taken to a facility where it's still to this day being taken care of until it'll be ready to be sent back to its natural habitat. So there is a happy ending to this.
Okay, there is. The manatee is also known as a sea cow.
Sea cow.
So for those who are not familiar, maybe you can have that image in your head. To me, it looks like a cross between a hippopotamus and a fish.
Well, they're so ugly, they're so cute.
Yes, they
Don't
are.
you think?
They are ugly and cute
they're
at the
not,
same time.
Well,
Yeah.
ugly is a relative, my subjective, sort of assessment of it. But
If a manatee were a dog, I would think of like a pug, a little short puppy kind of thing.
flat nose.
Flat nose, yeah. It's kind of ugly but cute at the same
Are you
time.
calling pugs ugly? Well, they are ugly,
You know what I mean?
relatively.
Yeah.
But they're so cute.
They
though.
are very
Yes.
cute. 네, 마나티가요. 이제 바다 소라는 별명이 있는데 이게 약간 하마랑 물고기를 합쳐놓은 것 같은 이런 모양이에요. 굉장히 귀여워요. 좀 못생겼는데 귀엽다 이 얘기를 지금 했고, 자 그렇습니다. 근데 이제 멸종 위기종이에요.
They are in danger, yes. That's true.
그렇습니다. 그게 구조가 됐다라는 얘기. Alright, so presumably the manatee was displaced.
Right. So officials don't know for sure. They're not 100% certain how this manatee got into this pond, but they presume or they assume and they think with reasonable sort of assumption that this was the case. So you're expecting or assuming with confidence. You're pretty sure.
Yeah, presumably means 아마도 짐작컨대 이랬을 것이다. Presumably the manatee was displaced 라는 것은 원래 서식지에서 옮겨졌을 것이다. 이렇게 짐작이 돼요. 그때 허리케인이 있었기 때문에. And it became stranded.
Yeah, to be stranded, typically it's used in the past participle form, I guess, because you're left in a strange sort of unknowing or a mysterious place without any way to exit or to depart,
그렇죠.
perhaps. Yeah.
네, be stranded라는 것은 이제 발이 묶였다라는 뜻인데 이 경우에는 그러니까 이 허리케인 때문에 결국은 홍수로 떠밀려 와서 고립이 된 걸 얘기합니다.
Exactly. Isolated, right?
Isolated. 네. 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. An endangered manatee was rescued from a pond in the U.S. state of Florida after presumably being displaced by hurricane flooding and becoming stranded. Let's move on to the next headline.
Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral is set to reopen to the public next month, 5 years after a devastating fire, with a globally televised ceremony followed by a series of masses, concerts, and other events.
프랑스 파리 노트르담 대성당이 다음 달부터 다시 일반에 공개됩니다. 충격적인 화재가 발생한 지 5년 만에 이뤄지는 이번 재개관은 전 세계 중계 예정인 기념식을 시작으로 미사와 공연, 기타 행사들이 그 뒤를 이을 전망입니다.
Yeah, you remember. I
do.
remember very vividly. I can't believe it was 5 years ago, but these horrific images of the Notre Dame Cathedral ablaze brought me back to memories of, I remember when Sungnaemun was had a similar fate. But
Yeah.
in any case, thankfully, Notre Dame has been restored. It will reopen very soon, and they're expecting about 14 to 15 million visitors yearly. It's one of the most visited monuments in the world. It was the case before it was shut down. But there's going to be a ceremony, a religious ceremony, quite fittingly, since it's a cathedral, with Catholic dignitaries, foreign officials. Even President Emmanuel Macron will be giving a short speech. Following the ceremony, there'll be a concert. And it'll be December 8th. But once it does open, though, over tourism, which we talk about a lot on this show, and we'll be talking about in part 2
Yes.
as a little foreshadowing there. But they're going to limit sort of the number of visitors to Notre Dame initially with a free online reservation system, a new smartphone app guide, and only individual visitors initially until group tours will be allowed the beginning of next year.
Right. So December 8th is the date it's going to open, and this ceremony that you mentioned there, it's going to be televised.
Yes, which means it will be broadcast on television.
Televised. T-E-L-E-V-I-S-E-D. 텔레비전에 방영이 된다.
Yeah.
이란 뜻이에요. 그래서 텔레비전으로 방송이 될 겁니다. 이거 televised가 된다라는 거는 사실 요즘의 컨셉으로는 인터넷으로도 볼 수 있다. 이렇게 이해를 할 수 있지만
Or streamed, right,
그죠.
in this day and
네,
age. I don't know if you
그렇습니다.
watched the Mike Tyson Jake Paul boxing match last Friday. It was the most televised or streamed event on this this channel.
Oh, really?
It was live on net something.
Right.
Yeah.
그렇군요. There was a televised boxing
Yes, match.
match.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had no idea of it.
I had no idea. Sorry.
Well, Mike Tyson lost.
I'm sorry.
Not to spoil it for you. but
Okay. And
in
who
any
are you
case.
rooting for?
I was rooting for Mike Tyson, but
okay.
he was fighting someone more than half his age. Mike Tyson's
wow.
58 years old now.
Right,
and he
yeah.
really looked like it. And everyone was saying that Father Time is undefeated. Nobody can beat time.
Exactly. Okay, and a series of something.
Yeah, a series of something would be sort of like consecutive, a number of things or events that come one after the other, like in the first headline.
자, 여기서 말하는 시리즈는 우리가 꼭 뭐 텔레비전 시리즈, 책 시리즈가 아니더라도 이러한 것들이 줄여 이어질 것이다. 1년에 뭐뭐뭐 할 때요. A series of 쓸 수 있어요. 그래서 여기서는 천주교의 미사 있죠. 영어로는 mass라고 합니다. 그래서 그런 미사와 콘서트와 다양한 행사, a series of masses, concerts and other events will be held. 이렇게 이해하시면 되겠고요. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral is set to reopen to the public next month, 5 years after a devastating fire, with a globally televised ceremony, followed by a series of masses, concerts, and other events. And let's move on.
Peruvian customs officers have detained a South Korean man trying to smuggle more than 300 tarantulas and other venomous creatures from the Amazon jungle.
페루 세관 당국이 300마리 이상의 타란툴라를 비롯해 아마존 정글에서 포획한 맹독성 야생동물 다수를 반출하려던 한 한국인 남성을 적발했습니다.
Yeah, so the APEC summit was not the only news coming out of Peru this weekend. This man was discovered with 320 tarantulas, 110 centipedes, and 9 bullet ants, which were all individually wrapped in plastic bags and obscured by this filter paper and strapped to his body with a girdle. This gentleman.
He must have looked a little chubby.
Well, yeah, I believe so. And initially, he was going to allegedly fly through France and bring it into Korea. But all these little critters, they're native to the Amazon region, and the tarantulas especially are an endangered species.
Yep.
They're on a protected list. This 28-year-old man, like I said, had a stopover planned in France, but they are still investigating. They did not release this man's identity, but it is presumed that these sort of exotic animals, there's a big black market. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah, exactly. 자, 이런 이색적인 동물을 블랙 마켓에서 밀반출하고 밀매를 하는 일이 안타깝게도 많이 일어난다고 하고요.
Yeah.
특히 크리스마스 전후로 해가지고 가격이 좀 오른대요.
Yeah.
그래서 뭐 이런 이유가 아니었을까? 일단 그렇게 좀 추정이 되는 겁니다. Presumably, that's
Presumably,
why he was taking them. 근데 이제 어떻게 잡혔느냐? 이 페루에서 한국인 남성이 이 검색 보안대에 있는 사람들이 봤을 때 이상하게 배만 좀 나온 거예요. 물론 뭐 남자가 배가 나올 수 있는데 이상하게 배가 좀 비정상적으로 나왔다. 그래서 들춰보니까 그 안에 거미 300마리, 뭐 센티피드, 뭐 그리고 뭐 이런저런 그 희귀 곤충들이 가득했답니다.
Yeah, the problem is that sure, this man allegedly this is a criminal act,
Right,
but
right.
there's a big demand for these sort of items. People are buying this sort of stuff. I imagine as pets or maybe for medicinal purposes,
Yeah.
as herbal remedies.
Sure,
Who knows?
sure,
But
exactly.
it's not because these sort of things. If you go through customs, I know when you go in and out of the airport, for example, you go through customs. They ask you, "Are you bringing any foods or exotic plants?" Because they really disrupt the native ecosystem
Yeah.
if you bring them in, especially things like insects too.
Yeah, exactly. So another word for steal is, in this case, smuggle.
Yeah, smuggling would be the transfer of illegal goods, and a lot of times they're cross-border smuggling across international lines.
밀수하는 거를요, smuggling 한다라고 합니다. SMUGGLE. Not to be confused with snuggling,
Snuggling is completely different.
which is lovely.
Right, it's cozying up to
yeah.
someone. But you can, I said across international lines, but I could actually smuggle this monitor out of EBS and take it home with me.
Everyone outside is staring at you now. Don't smuggle the
Allegedly,
monitor.
allegedly. But yeah, smuggling can be used in that instance as well.
네, 그렇죠. 그래서 이게 M일 때는 밀수하다, 뭐 밀반입하다 이런 의미로 쓰는데 이게 M이 아니라 N으로 바뀔 때는요. 이렇게 꼭 안아주다라는 너무나 사랑스러운 단어가 돼요.
Yeah.
snuggle이라는 거는.
Yeah.
그래서 요 알파벳 하나 차이로 엄청나게 의미가 달라지니까 이거 주의하시면 될 것 같고. What about venomous?
Yeah, tarantulas are venomous, meaning they contain a venom, which is a toxic sort of substance that animals will inject into their prey to have sort of a lethal effect. So if it's venomous, it's poisonous, basically. It's toxic, excuse me.
Yeah, exactly. 자, venom이라는 게 독이거든요. 그래서 venomous는 독이 있다. 그런 독성 곤충과 그런 동물들이 되겠습니다. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Peruvian customs officers have detained a South Korean man trying to smuggle more than 300 tarantulas and other venomous creatures from the Amazon jungle. All right, well, those were our 5 headlines with Shane.
G20 leaders have convened in Brazil to discuss fighting poverty, boosting climate financing, and other multilateral initiatives that could yet be upended by Donald Trump's impending return to the White House.
주요 20개국 G20 정상회의가 브라질에서 열렸습니다. 이 자리에서 빈곤 퇴치와 기후 금융 재원 마련 외 기타 다국 간 협약들이 논의될 예정이나 도널드 트럼프 미국 대통령 당선인의 집권이 임박하면서 해당 계획들이 향후 변경될 가능성도 있을 것으로 보입니다. Tell us more.
It's a busy week for world leaders. Last week and continuing into this week, we've had the COP29 climate conference in Azerbaijan, and now we have the G20 meeting in Brazil. It's going to be at this beautiful Bayside Museum of Modern Art. It's going to be under strict security because there was a failed bomb attack on the Supreme Court just a few days ago. But the big thing, I think everyone's wondering what's going to happen is Chinese President Xi Jinping is going to be there. It's a very big deal because he's sort of putting himself up against Trump, saying, you know, I'm the one who's going to give you free trade compared to Trump's tariffs. What will happen? We're not sure, but certainly it's going to be an interesting week, politically speaking.
Yeah, definitely. The word convene here,
Yes.
it says that the leaders convened.
Yes.
But we can also say a meeting has convened.
Absolutely. To convene somewhere or to convene a meeting.
Yeah.
Both of those are perfectly fine. I'm not going to say to Sue, though, should we convene for a coffee later? This is a formal term. And it literally just means to meet. So when you see the word convene, it's going to be in an invitation, perhaps, or maybe the boss writing to employees about a meeting or something formal to do with different governments convening a meeting together.
CONVENE.
I can spell that word.
네. 그래서 각국 대표들이 모였다. Leaders have convened. 그리고요. Let's convene a meeting.
네.
그래서 회의를 열자, 회의를 소집하자라는 의미로 convene을 씁니다. 앞에 거랑 뒤에 예시랑 지금 용법이 좀 다르죠. 사람들이 모였다. The people have convened. 그 다음에 Let's convene a meeting. 그럴
Yeah.
때는 미팅이 모이는 건 아니잖아요. 미팅을 그때 여는 건데 그때도 같은 동사를 씁니다. 자, 그 다음에 이제 굉장히 포멀한 표현이라는 거 우리 캐주얼 대화에서는 쓰지 않는 단어지만 뉴스 같은 데라든지 아주 공식적으로 어디 문서에다가 쓸 때는 이 단어 많이 쓰고요. What about impending?
I'll tell you very soon.
Okay, so it's impending.
About now, yes. It
okay.
means something is going to happen soon, in the near future. It might be in a few minutes, it might be in a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, but we know it's coming. So, for example, we can talk about an impending election or an impending holiday or an impending birthday. It means it's on the way. Just in the same way, if we take off the IM and we have pending, we use that to mean something is on the way, it's coming.
그래요. impending이라는 게 곧 닥칠 무언가, 임박한 무언가. 그래서 impending, impending return of former President Trump, now the president-elect, because he will soon be the president.
Yeah, you know, the middle of January. So it's a little way away, but impending works here. It could work if it was tomorrow as well.
맞아요. 자, 그래서 도널드 트럼프 대통령 당선인이 곧 대통령이 되죠. 그래서 그 임박한 취임을 얘기하고 있습니다. 네. 자, 그러면은 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. G20 leaders have convened in Brazil to discuss fighting poverty, boosting climate financing and other multilateral initiatives that could yet be upended by Donald Trump's impending return to the White House. Now let's move on to the second headline.
Protesters have taken to the streets of European capitals to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which marks its 1,000th day today and has caused over 35,000 civilian casualties, according to UN estimates.
오늘로 1000일째를 맞이한 러시아의 우크라이나 침공을 규탄하는 시위가 유럽 각국 수도에서 벌어졌습니다. UN 추산에 따르면 이번 전쟁으로 3만 5천 명 이상의 민간인 사상자가 발생한 것으로 나타났습니다. Tell us more. It's been 1,000 days, has it?
It has been 1,000 days, and I think it's going to be a busy week in terms of what's happening in Ukraine, because we've had President Biden announcing that long-range missiles are going to be allowed to use. There's lots going on, but protests are our focus today. So we've seen in Rome, in Italy, in Lisbon, and in Porto, in Portugal, in Helsinki, in Finland, and in Prague, in the Czech Republic, just to name a few. We've had big protests.
So these are pro-Ukraine protests.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So, for example, in Rome, they were holding the protest outside the Russian embassy. In Finland, however, it was Russian nationals who were on the street protesting against the war. They don't want the war. And I think it's important to remember that not every Russian is thinking the same way. And there were many Russian members of the diaspora who are looking for peace. Certainly, it feels like sentiment is growing, and everyone's hoping for an end to this marathon conflict.
그래요. pro-Ukraine 그러면은 이제 유크레인 쪽에 있다는 얘기죠. 뭐 친-유크레인이라고 볼 수도 있을 텐데 그런 시위들이 지금 유럽 각국에서 벌어지고 있습니다. 각국에는 이제 러시아 대사관이 있잖아요. 그래서 그 대사관 앞에서 주로 이루어지는 것 같은데 러시아한테 그만하라는 거죠. 근데 심지어는 러시아에서 왔던 지금 현재 유럽에서 살고 있는 사람들도 이 러시아 대사관 앞에서 그만해라 라고 시위를 하고 있답니다. A lot of people have taken to the streets.
Yes, meaning they've gone outside and they've protested. You're not going to take to the streets on a Saturday night with your friends. You're not going to take to the streets to go shopping. You're going to take to the streets to protest. So we use this expression when people are going out in a public space outside and publicly protesting for something or against something.
So would you say this is a set phrase then?
Yeah, to take to the streets.
Yeah.
So we might use it on numerous occasions. Koreans have taken to the streets to protest on whatever cause it may be.
그래요. 자, 이거는 시위하다라는 뜻입니다. 그래서 가두 시위에 나서다 이렇게 우리도 말하잖아요. 영어로는 take to the streets라고 합니다. 자, 그다음에 civilian.
Well, it's you and I, Sue. The ordinary people. We're not members of the military. We're not the president. We're not some high-ranking official. We're just Joe and Josephine blogs.
그렇죠. 시민이란 뜻이죠. 일반인이라는 뜻으로 보시면 되겠습니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. Protesters have taken to the streets of European capitals to condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which marks its 1,000th day today and has caused over 35,000 civilian casualties, according to UN estimates.
Researchers have identified the world's largest coral reef in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, with an estimated age of 300 to 500 years.
남서태평양 해안에서 300살에서 500살 사이 나이로 추정되는 세계 최대 규모의 산호초가 발견됐습니다. 와우.
Finally, some good news about coral reefs, because it seems like all the news we hear nowadays is this one is dying, this one is polluted, this one won't last much longer. But we have this amazing coral reef discovered by marine scientists from the National Geographic Pristine Seas team near the Solomon Islands. It's got a diameter of 32 meters. It's 5.5 meters high. It's got about 1 billion polyps, those little knobbly bits on the coral. And it's estimated to be somewhere between 300 and 500 years old. It's also in good condition.
Oh,
but they
that's
are warning.
important.
They are warning that global warming could have an effect on it. And we know that coral reefs are so important. They are the habitat for so many species. They protect them, they let them survive and thrive. And if they disappear, we sometimes lose entire species with them.
Exactly. Well, this is very good news indeed, as you said. Now, researchers have identified this coral reef.
And I've identified this word to mean to find or to discover or to go, oh, there it is.
Yeah, identify. 뭔가 발견하다, 찾다. I-D-E-N-T-I-F-Y.
Yeah, sometimes it can be to name the thing. So, for example, if you're out with your kids and you see a grasshopper and a cricket, you want to identify which one is which. This one is the grasshopper because it's green, and this is the cricket because it's brown.
아, 그렇죠. 뭔가 구별해가지고 이게 메뚜기인지 아니면은 귀뚜라미인지 이렇게 구별할 때도 Can you identify which one is a grasshopper and which one is the other
Cricket.
thing? Cricket.
Come on, Sue.
이렇게, 네.
Do you need to use AI on this?
Yes, please give me AI. 자, 그래서 identify라는 게 뭔가를 이게 찾아내다라는 의미인데요. 이렇게 구별해내다라는 의미로도 써요. 자, 그 다음에는 산호초는 coral reef고 it's estimated to be about 300 to 500 years old.
Ooh, I think estimate is probably about, I don't know, maybe roughly getting the approximate information using the other information you have?
I think that was an excellent estimation.
Oh, phew.
Right. So estimate means to guess.
It's different to guess.
Yeah.
It's you're using the surrounding information to get an approximate figure or an approximate answer. So it's not going to be exact.
Right. So it's an educated guess in some ways. Do you not want to use the word guess?
I would avoid the word guess because guess suggests there's a randomness to it.
All right.
Whereas these are scientists. They're not just guessing how old it is. They're looking at the rock formations. They're studying the coral. So they're not able to precisely give the information, but they can give a rough estimate.
네. 자, 추정하다라는 뜻이에요. 그래서 estimate라는 명사가 그런 추정 아니면 추정치가 되겠고요. 추정하는 것은 estimate라고 합니다. 여기서는 an estimated age 형용사로 썼거든요. 그래서 추정되는 나이가 한 300살에서 500살 정도 된다라는 산호초 얘기입니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼까요? Researchers have identified the world's largest coral reef in the southwestern Pacific Ocean with an estimated age of 300 to 500 years. Let's move on to the next headline.
US and Chinese researchers have discovered that volcanoes were erupting on the far side of the moon billions of years ago, with analysis of samples from a recent mission revealing basalt fragments dating back more than 4.2 billion years.
최근 달 탐사선이 채취해온 42억 년 이상 된 현무암 표본의 분석 결과 수십억 년 전에 달 뒷면에서 화산 활동이 있었던 것으로 나타났습니다. My goodness.
Yeah, this is really exciting. We don't know as much as we do about the close side to the moon. The far side of the moon is a little unfamiliar, a little alien to us. As Pink Floyd's album called it, the dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
It's not been explored very much. And so we have these first rock and dust samples collected by the Chang'e 6 spacecraft, which went on a 2-month-long mission. There were all sorts of issues with that. We'll gloss over that and stick to these rocks, these fragments, because they revealed that there were these surprisingly young eruptions, as they're calling them, something like 2.83 billion years ago. We haven't found that on the moon that's facing us, on our side of the moon.
Yeah.
We've only found it on the far side of the moon. what's interesting is we never see the far side of the moon because of the way that the moon is locked into the Earth's orbit.
Yep.
It continually faces us with one side only.
So instead of the side that we're used to seeing, which you said is our side or the near side, I guess.
Yeah.
The other word is
far
the
side.
far side. Let's look at that.
The far side means the one that is a long distance away from us. So we use near and far to compare. Something is near, something is far, means one thing is closer, the other is further away. There's also a very good comic strip called The Far Side that was around from the 1980s and 90s. If you
what's
want
it
to
about?
practice your funny English, Gary Larson, this amazing cartoonist and comic book writer, did these one-panel cartoons with lots of animals and absurd jokes. I loved them as kids. My father loved them. They were very, very popular. But yeah, the far side means going to be the furthest away from us.
아하, 자, 먼 쪽이라는 뜻이에요. The far side. 그래서 달의 먼 쪽이라는 것은 이제 우리는 늘 보지 못하는 달의 뒷면이 되겠죠. 자, 그 다음에는요. Fragments.
Yeah, a fragment is a piece, but it's going to be a small piece. You don't have a fragment of cake, for example. You have a slice.
Yeah.
But if you smash something, let's say you smash some glass or a mirror, there might be big pieces, but there will also be tiny fragments, small fragments, these tiny pieces of whatever it is.
파편을 fragment라고 합니다. F-R-A-G-M-E-N-T. 여기서는 이제 fragments 앞에 basalt가 붙었는데요. basalt는 그 현무암입니다. How do you pronounce the word?
Basalt, but I think some people might say basalt.
발음이 여러 가지가 있더라고요. 네. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. US and Chinese researchers have discovered that volcanoes were erupting on the far side of the moon billions of years ago, with analysis of samples from a recent mission revealing basalt fragments dating back more than 4.2 billion years. Okay, let's move on to the final headline.
Experts believe octopuses are the most likely creatures to dominate the world if humanity were to perish, thanks to their intelligence and adaptability.
인류가 멸망할 경우 지구를 지배할 생명체는 높은 지능과 적응력을 지닌 문어가 될 것이라는 전문가 전망이 나왔습니다. Octopuses are very smart, aren't they?
They are. I don't eat them anymore. After I read a book called The Soul of the Octopus and read about how amazing they are, I decided to take them off the menu. And we have a professor from Oxford University, Tim Coulson, is saying that they're one of the most resourceful creatures on the planet, more resourceful than birds or insects, because those lot lack the fine motor skills needed to construct a civilization, whereas octopuses can do everything. They can solve complex problems, they communicate through color, through flashing color at each other, they can manipulate objects. If you've ever seen like an octopus opening a jam jar, it's incredible the dexterity they have. They can camouflage. So this professor is suggesting that, you know, if we disappear, octopuses could, well, start building underwater cities and who knows what.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while, though. He's saying hundreds, probably thousands, even millions of years for them to evolve into that state.
Yeah, I once watched a documentary about how smart octopuses were, and they made
Yeah.
a maze with
Yes.
all sorts of obstacles and tried to see if the octopus could figure out how to get past the obstacle. Sometimes it was something simple like just getting through it,
Yeah.
but sometimes you had to open things or, solve certain octopus puzzles.
Yeah, it's
And they can do
astonishing.
it.
They
Yeah.
also recognize humans when they're
Yeah.
in captivity. Some they like and they will play with. Others they will actually avoid or will spray water at them if they don't
have
like
feelings.
them. Yeah, they do have feelings.
Yeah.
They're incredible creatures despite their short lifespans. So it's amazing to think that if humans ever disappear,
Yeah.
maybe octopuses will take over the world.
그래요. 뭐 지금 인류가 뭐 멸망할 거다라는 얘기는 아니지만 인류가 만약에 멸망을 하게 되면은 지금 과학자들이 봤을 때 가장 이제 적응을 하면서 살아남을 가능성이 높은 게 바로 문어다라는 얘기를 하고 있습니다. 그만큼 굉장히 이제 생명력도 어떤 적응력도 뛰어난 동물이란 얘기인데 if humans were to perish.
Yeah. If something perishes, it passes away, it dies, it's gone. So yes, if we talk about humans perishing, it means humans becoming extinct. We are no more.
소멸되는 것, 없어지는 것을 perish 한다라고 합니다. 그래서 인류가 멸망하면 이거를 if humanity were to perish 이렇게 표현을 하고 있고요. And octopuses are known for their adaptability.
Yes, meaning they can adapt to different situations, change their behavior, change their style, change their action to suit whatever situation they may be in.
적응력이 되겠죠. 그래서 adaptability도 있고 그다음에 intelligence 지능도 매우 높다.
And they're delicious.
I thought you said you
I know,
don't
but they're
eat
still
octopuses.
delicious.
All right. Well, here's the headline again. Experts believe octopuses are the most likely creatures to dominate the world if humanity were to perish, thanks to their intelligence and adaptability. All right, that's it for the headlines with Paul Matthews.
The cost of making kimchi for a family of 4 this year has reached a record 331,500 won, driven by a sharp rise in the prices of key ingredients such as napa cabbage and radish.
배추와 무 등 주요 김장 재료의 가격 급등 영향으로 올해 4인 가족 김장 비용이 역대 최고 수준인 33만 1,500원을 기록했습니다. Let's talk about 김장.
Yeah, so it's getting more expensive to make. So 331,500 won is about $238. So that's for a 4-member household to make kimchi to last them through the winter. This is according to market researcher Korea Price Information, and they released the figure, which is up more than 10% from last year's kimjang or kimchi making season. So this is the price for 20 napa cabbages, which is the key ingredient of kimchi. And they said that it surged 25% on year to 100,000 won, or nearly $72 as of last Friday, while the price of 10 radishes doubled to 30,000 won, or roughly $21. And compared to last season, the price of key ingredients all saw an increase except for green onions. And an official of the Agriculture Ministry said the price of napa cabbage have begun going down, with more regions shipping out additional volumes of such cabbages. But I think this was kind of expected, because I remember us reporting that the global warming affecting the growth of napa cabbages and the quality of napa cabbages. I remember us talking about how we might not be able to see napa cabbages being grown on the Korean Peninsula in the near future.
Yeah, that's something we don't want to happen ever. 나파 캐비지가 우리가 말하는 그 김장에 들어가는 배추예요. 그다음에 radish가 무가 되겠고요.
Yep.
이런 배추와 무의 가격이 많이 올랐습니다. 지금 저는 나파 캐비지 20개, 그러니까 배추 한 20포기 정도가 10만 원이라고 하셨고, 그다음에는 무 10개 정도의 가격이 지금 3만 원 정도로 올랐다라고 하면서 각각 작년에 비해서 한 10% 이상 오른 가격이다라고 말씀을 해주셨습니다. 그러다 보니까 이제 4인 가족 기준으로 김장을 할 때 우리가 상당히 많이 만들잖아요. 그랬을 때는 대체적으로 이제 한 33만 원 이상이 들 것으로 보인다라는 얘긴데요.
It's a lot. And I recently
is.
heard, I was talking to someone about kimjang recently, and they use 720 heads of napa cabbage
Wow.
for their kimjang, which I was just thinking about how much work would go into making so much kimchi, but also the expenses that would go into making so much kimchi this year.
Absolutely. 작년에는 이제 30만 원 정도로 책정이 아니고 그렇게 추정이 됐었어요.
Yeah.
예, 4인 가족 기준 김장하는데 한 대략 30만 원. 이번엔 33만 원이라고 하니까 한 10% 정도 가격이 올랐습니다.
Yeah.
그리고 우리가 또 말하는 이제 배추 한 포기라고 할 때 영어로는 one head of cabbage라고 하나요?
One head.
One head of cabbage.
Kind of looks like a head, doesn't
Okay.
it? Yeah.
한 머리 한 포기를 한 one head of cabbage라고 하는군요. 물론 그냥 head 빼고 20 napa cabbages
Yep.
해도 돼요. 자, 그러면은 첫 번째 표현 보겠습니다. Driven by something.
Driven by something means it's influenced by something, but in this case, it's kind of propelled by or motivated by something.
자, 무엇에 의한이라는 뜻인데 여기서는 driven by a sharp rise in prices. 가격이 오른 것에 의해서 김장 가격이 올랐다는 거죠. 이제
Yeah.
각각의 재료 가격이 올랐기 때문에 그런데 그런 이제 주요 재료를 영어로는 key ingredients.
Yeah, so these would be the main ingredients or the main, like the cabbages, the radish, the red pepper, the red pepper, and all the things that are needed to make kimchi.
Absolutely. 여기서 key라는 것은 very important or the most important
Yeah.
이런 의미가 있기 때문에 주요 재료가 되겠고요. Sometimes you could just say, oh, that's key to the
Something.
story
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the plot or something. So that means that's really important.
Yeah, it's vital.
It's vital.
Yeah.
That's right. 자, 우리가 보통 열쇠 할 때 그 키랑 같은 스펠링이에요. K-E-Y. 주요한, 매우 중요한이라는 뜻입니다. 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. The cost of making kimchi for a family of 4 this year has reached a record 331,500 won, driven by a sharp rise in the prices of key ingredients such as Napa cabbage and radish. Moving on, this is our second headline.
Korean pianist Im Yoon-chan has been honored with the Diapason d'Or, one of the classical music industry's most prestigious awards in the young musician category.
피아니스트 임윤찬이 클래식 음악계에서 가장 권위 있는 상 중 하나인 올해의 디아파종 황금상 시상식에서 젊은 음악가 부문을 수상했습니다. Well, congratulations to Im.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Congratulations are in order. So this is according to his agency. And it said that the 20-year-old was declared the winner on November 13th for his album Chopin Etudes, released in April. And France's Diapason d'Or is one of the most prestigious awards in the classical music industry. Each month, the French magazine Diapason announces the albums that show outstanding artistic achievements. And at the end of the year, the best in each category receives the annual prize. And last month, Im became the first South Korean to win the Gramophone Classical Music Award in the piano category, while also being named the Young Artist of the Year at the 2024 Gramophone Classical Music Awards.
Right. Many titles under his belt there.
Yeah.
Right. So he has been honored with this award.
Right. So we use this when someone has been given some sort of prize or some sort of award. And it basically means that they are regarded with great respect.
That's right. H-O-N-O-R. 그리고 스펠링이 하나 더 있는데요. 이제 보통 영연방 국가에서는 H-O-N-O-U-R 이렇게 씁니다.
Yep.
이 honor라는 게 명사형으로는 명예라는 뜻이죠. 그런데 동사로 여기서처럼 어떤 명예를 주다, 명예를 얻다라는 의미가 될 수 있고요. 이거를 좀 의역을 했을 때는 이러한 명예로운 상을 받았다. 이렇게 의역을 할 수 있습니다. 그래서 Im Yoon-chan has been honored with this award 이라는 것은 이런 명예로운 상을 받게 됐다. 이렇게 해석이 되고요. Classical music industry. Let's look at that word.
Yeah, so classical music refers to the more serious or I guess conventional music following the long established principles rather than, what we usually talk about like pop music or folk or jazz music. And when we talk about an industry, we're talking about a complex network of people or organizations that sort of create, produce, distribute, and market music.
That's right. 자, 그런데 여기서 주의할 점은요. 이 클래식 음악, 이 영어로는 classic music이 아닙니다.
No.
classical music이라고 반드시 해야 돼요.
Yeah.
classic이라는 단어는 영어에서 고전이다라고 해서 어떤 분야이든지 간에 세월이 지나도 여전히 훌륭한 작품들. 예를 들자면은 갑자기 생각나는 영화는 뭐 Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
is a classic.
Yeah.
이거는 클래식 음악이랑은 아무 상관이 없죠. 하지만 영화계에서 고전과 같은 작품이다. 그다음에 또 뭐 Ben-Hur is a classic.
Yeah.
이런 식으로 고전인 것들을 말할 때는 그냥 classic이라고 하고 classical music라고 해야지 우리가 보통 콩글리시로 말하는 클래식 음악이 되기 때문에 단어가 조금 달라요.
Yeah.
네, 이거 의미 차이가 있기 때문에 주의하시면 되겠습니다. classic music라고 그러니까 한다 그러면은 사실 팝 음악 중에서도 classic songs 많이
yes.
있어요.
Yeah.
뭐가 있을까요? 뭐 예를 들자면은 뭐 마이클 잭슨의 for
Thriller.
me, Thriller, it's like a classic when it comes to music videos and pop music
Yeah.
and sort of, is it disco pop? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
그래서 그 분야에서 고전이면 그냥 다 클래식이라고 부를 수 있지만 이런 뭐 피아노, 현악기, 뭐 타악기 이런 음악은 classical music입니다.
it's different.
That's right. 자, 그래서 그런 음악계를 영어로는 classical music industry라고 하죠. 제가 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Korean pianist Im Yoon Chan has been honored with the Diapason d'Or, one of the classical music industry's most prestigious awards in the Young Musician category.
Pollution levels in India's capital Delhi have soared to their highest levels this year, prompting the closure of schools and offices while cloaking the city in thick brown smog.
인도의 수도 델리의 대기오염 수준이 올해 최고치를 기록하면서 도시 전체가 짙은 갈색 스모그로 뒤덮이고 많은 학교와 사무실이 문을 닫았습니다. Oh, is the smog so bad that the schools have to close?
Yeah, it's very serious. I don't know if you've seen like pictures of what's going on there, but I don't think you can see anything because of the smog levels.
goodness.
So they say that in some parts of the city, the live air quality ranking by IQ Air, they put the pollution levels at more than 30 times the maximum level that's deemed healthy. And India's Pollution Control Authority said its own reading of Delhi's 24-hour air quality index, or AQI, was 484, which is classified as severe plus, and it's the highest so far this year.
What's the normal level?
The normal, they say the reading for good is about 0 to 50.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
네,
yeah.
정상 대기질 수준은 0에서 50 AQI라고 하는데 지금 뉴델리는 484 AQI랍니다.
Yeah.
어머나.
And what really scared me about what's going on there is that experts are saying the toxic air quality is reducing the life expectancy in the city by an average of 7 years.
Life
7 years.
expectancy. 네, 기대 수명이죠. 기대 수명이 이 지금 엄청나게 나빠진 그 대기 질 때문에 7년이나 수명이 단축이 되고 있다라고 추정이 된답니다.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So, as we mentioned, the catastrophic levels of pollution, it's led to emergency measures, including a lot of schools or most schools being closed. Lessons are being moved online. All essential construction has been stopped, and heavy vehicles were prevented from entering the city. And this, apparently, it's an annual thing. So we've been hearing about this for a while. And it's because the weather in the north of India, it's getting colder. So it's trapping toxic pollutants from tens of millions of cars on the road. And there's a lot of fire going on because they're burning a lot of trash. And there's construction and factory emissions going on. And this is further exacerbated by the stubble fires when farmers burn their field after harvesting rice to clear them for new crops.
I see. Well, the pollution levels, as you mentioned, have soared. Let's look at the verb to soar.
Soar means it's going up. So when we say like birds are soaring, it's flying up in the air. But when we are seeing like the numbers soar, it means it's rising high.
Yeah, the prices of Napa cabbage have soared as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
SOAR, 급증하다, 치솟다 이런 뜻이고요. And to cloak.
To cloak, in this case, it means to cover. So the fog or the smog, it's
Yeah.
covering the skies.
It's like blanketing, isn't
Yes.
it? 클로크가 원래는 우리 망토 같은 거예요. 그래서 뒤집어 쓰는 옷인데 여기서는 동사로서 이 스모그가 도시를 뒤덮고 있다. The smog is cloaking the city. 또 다른 말로 이불이라는 단어, blanket도 역시 동사로 쓸 수가 있어서요.
Yeah.
The smog is blanketing the city. 이렇게 표현할 수도 있습니다. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. Pollution levels in India's capital Delhi have soared to their highest levels this year, prompting the closure of schools and offices while cloaking the city in thick brown smog. Here's our next headline.
The worst password in the world has been found to be 123456, crackable in under a second, according to password management company NordPass, which reviewed passwords stolen by malware or exposed in data leaks in 44 countries.
악성 소프트웨어에 도난당하거나 데이터 유출로 노출된 44개국 비밀번호를 분석한 비밀번호 관리업체 노드패스에 따르면 1초 안에 무력화되는 세계 최악의 비밀번호는 123456인 것으로 나타났습니다. So if you're listening right now and any of your passwords is 123456, go and change it. Okay, you need a stronger password. Tell us about this.
Okay, so the worst password or the fastest crackable password in the world was 123456, and this was followed by 123456789 and 123456778.
Okay.
And for 5 out of the past 6 years, 123456 has claimed the top spot on the NordPass list of the easiest crackable password. And they say password as a password ranked first once out of those 6 years. And for 2024, password as a password ranked 4th among personal passwords and 5th among corporate passwords. So that's when you are using this password as your password at work. And other popular and easy to crack passwords included secret, QWERTY, which is the
first
on your
letters
the
on the
first
keyboard.
letters on your keyboard. 11111, dragon, monkey. I don't know where dragon and monkey came from, but all of these passwords take less than a second to break into. Meanwhile, in Korea, some of the popular passwords that were very easy to break into were, of course, 123456. Some people got a little bit creative and mixed it up a little bit using QWERTY plus 123, or they mixed it up with 1Q, 2W, 3E, 4R, mix it up going up and down on the keyboard, or QWERTY plus 1, and of course, password.
지금 얘기한 게 지금 우리나라에서 가장 그 무력화되기 쉬운 해킹하기 1초 만에 한대요, 해커들은.
Yeah.
이런 패스워드가 있으면.
Yeah.
그게 뭐냐면은 123456뿐만 아니라 키보드 왼쪽 상단에 있는 그대로 이렇게 그 알파벳들을 보게 되면 QWERTY가 있거든요. QWERTY.
It's the name of a band.
그렇기도
Yeah.
하고, 네, 이 키보드가 이제 QWERTY 키보드라고 부르기도 했어요, 옛날에. 그런데 그 QWERTY를 그대로 쓰면 이것도 역시 찾아내기 제일 쉬운 패스워드
That's
중에 하나래요.
no.
이거 그 주의하시면 될 것 같고 조금 어렵게 해야 되겠지만 또 내가 기억해야 되니까
Yeah.
네, 그거 이제 주의하시면서
But their recommendation was to make it at least 20 characters long.
20
20 characters
Oh my
long.
goodness.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean,
그렇구나.
it's too long for me.
네.
And, either change it frequently, and they also recommended not using the same password for different accounts. I don't know how you would remember it, though.
네, 그래요. 그 비밀번호가 20자리 정도가 돼야 그래도 좀 보장이 된다라고 합니다. 그 영어로는 it has to be around 20 characters long 이렇게 얘기를 하고 있습니다. 우리 작가님이 지금 morning special Sue and Karen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 이렇게 하면은
Is that around 20 characters?
20자 넘는다고 했는데 이 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6도 들어가고 이렇게 안 돼요. 이거 약해요.
But I
안
think
됩니다.
using morning special might be an idea.
이런 이제 단어들을 쓰지 말라고요. 너무 해커들은 해킹하기 아주 쉽답니다. 네, 그래서 말이 안 되는 게 조합해가지고
Oh my
해야 되는데.
goodness, I can't remember.
What does crackable mean?
Crackable means that you can crack it, or you can break it, or you can break into or hack into something. So you can hack a code,
Yes.
basically.
보통 어떤 암호를 우리가 깰 때 그걸 알아내가지고 그럴 때 영어로는 crack a code라고 하거든요. 코드를 깨는 거예요. 그러니까 여기서는 이 비밀번호를 찾아낼 수 있다. 찾아내는 게 가능한 비밀번호, crackable password라고 표현을 할 수 있어요.
Yep.
자, 그다음에 exposing something.
Yeah, exposing something means it's now visible. So it's in like a vulnerable position or situation.
그렇죠. exposing something은 무언가를 노출시키거나 폭로하다 이런 뜻이 되겠죠. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. The worst password in the world has been found to be 123456, crackable in under a second, according to password management company NordPass, which reviewed passwords stolen by malware or exposed in data leaks in 44 countries. Let's move on to the next headline.
A former U.S. official has testified at a congressional hearing that U.S. government employees have been injured by UFOs and that a secret UFO retrieval program exists, though no direct evidence was presented to support these claims.
한 전직 미국 관리가 의회 청문회에서 공무원 인력 중 UFO로 인해 다친 사람이 일부 있다라고 말했으며 UFO 회수를 목적으로 한 비밀 프로그램도 존재한다라고 증언했습니다. 하지만 이를 뒷받침할 직접적인 증거는 제시되지 않았습니다. I mean, at any hearing, you have to tell the truth and only the truth.
Yeah.
And so we hope this is the truth, and
Yeah.
yet at the same time,
There's no evidence.
This is odd. Yes, tell us more.
Yeah. So this is according to a former Department of Defense official during a congressional committee this week. And they say that, the hearing lacked any direct evidence to back up these claims. But this, it's about, so they're calling UFOs UAPs now.
Yes.
Unidentified anomalous phenomena, which has, this term has become more, I guess, accepted for instead of using UFOs.
Yes.
And they say that they have a huge amount of secret information on these UAPs, including photos, videos, other information. But it also learned that following a query from Colorado Congressman Lauren Boebert, that there was no evidence of aliens having a secret underwater base on this planet. So lots of claims going on, but as we mentioned, no concrete evidence of any of these claims. And this hearing actually came a year after the Pentagon was accused of running the secret UFO retrieval program by the whistleblower David Gersh, although no, like we mentioned, physical evidence has ever emerged to back up these claims. So the lack of evidence has been this sort of consistent thorn in the side of those who believe that the government is harboring these UAPs. And so the hearing focused on the testimony of people who say they were aware of the secret government program, but they don't have the evidence.
보통 우리가 이런 외계 비행 물체들을 UFO라고 표현을 해왔죠, 그동안에. 지금도 여전히 그냥 일반 대화 속에서나 그냥 뉴스가 아닌 상황에서는 UFO라는 표현을 많이 쓰지만 미국에서 이제 공식적으로는 UFO 대신에 UAP라는 표현을 씁니다. 그래서 원래 UFO는 Unidentified Flying Object였어요. 그래서 미확인 비행 물체 이것의 약자였는데 지금은 그게 너무 좀 광범위하다라고 했기 때문에 unidentified 미확인 anomalous 이거는 이제 보통과 다르다는 뜻이에요. phenomena 현상이라는 단어를 쓰고 있습니다. 자, 어쨌든 간에 이런 UAP가 진짜 존재하느냐? 미국에서는 굉장히 많이 언급되는 주제예요.
Yeah.
이 비행 물체, 미확인 비행 물체에 대한 얘기도 많이 있고, 그 다음에 혹시 정부에서 뭔가 숨기고 있는 거 아니냐라는 음모론까지도 많이 존재하고, 그래요. 그런데 지금 한 전직 미국 관리가 의회 청문회에 나와서 UFO 관련된 작업들도 이루어지고 있고,
Led by the government,
네,
right?
정부가 이끄는 그런 프로젝트들도 있고 UFO 때문에 다친 사람도 있고 이런 얘기를 해서 사람들이 그러면 진짜 있는 거야? 라고 했는데 증거 자료라든지 이런 거는 하나도 제시하지는 않았습니다. 그러니까 사실 여전히 모르겠어요.
It's a mystery.
모르겠습니다. 그래서 미국에서는 이 UFO를 믿는 사람, 또 믿지 않는 사람들 간의 의견 충돌이 아주 팽팽하더라고요. 자, 이 표현 좀 볼게요. To testify.
Yeah, when you testify, you are giving evidence as a witness in a court or in a hearing, as is in this case, and you're serving as evidence or proof of something's existence or being the case.
네. 증언을 하다, 진술하다, 법정에서 그렇게 증언을 할 때, 또는 여기에서처럼 어떤 청문회에서 진술을 할 때, to testify라고 합니다. T-E-S-T-I-F-Y. And what's a claim?
A claim is an assertion of the truth of something, typically one that is disputed or in doubt.
누군가의 주장이죠. claim. 자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. A former U.S. official has testified at a congressional hearing that U.S. government employees have been injured by UFOs and that a secret UFO retrieval program exists, though no direct evidence was presented to support these claims. That's it for the headlines.
The International Monetary Fund has lowered its forecast for South Korea's economic growth this year to 2.2%, saying that reinvigorating growth and building resilience to the changing global landscape remain key priorities.
국제통화기금 IMF가 올해 우리나라 경제 성장률을 2.2%로 하향 조정하면서 성장을 다시 활성화시키고 국제적 환경 변화에 대한 회복력을 강화하는 게 한국 경제의 주요한 과제라고 밝혔습니다. Tell us more.
Well, the IMF has actually slashed its growth outlook for South Korea's economy for both this year and next year. For 2024, the team forecast that the country's GDP would grow by 2.2%, down from the 2.5% it had projected earlier in the year. A statement released by the IMF team that was in Korea doing this study, they said that the Korean economy is supported by strong semiconductor exports, but said that's partially offset by a weak recovery in domestic demand. They also pared back their 2025 forecast for Korea's economic growth to 2% from 2.2, so not as much of a drop there. They projected that in October. They cited downside risks, including a slowdown in trade, as well as heightened geopolitical tensions around the world.
네. 올해 2024년도의 한국 경제 성장률 같은 경우에는요, IMF가 기존에는 2.5% 성장할 것이다 라고 전망을 했는데, 거기에서 3%포인트 줄어든 2.2% 성장을 이번에 새롭게 내다봤습니다. 즉, 전망이 몇 달 전보다는 좀 낮아진 것이죠. 그리고 2025년 내년 같은 경우에는 기존에 2.2% 성장할 것 같다라고 했는데요. 역시 2%포인트 낮춰서 이번에 새로 발표한 전망에 따르면 내년에는 2% 성장을 예상한다. 이렇게 밝혔습니다. 여러 가지 이유가 있는데 물론 semiconductors, chips, 반도체 같은 경우에는 역시 굳건합니다. 그렇지만 이제 국내 내수 경제 같은 경우에는 좀 약하다. 이렇게 보고 있고요. 또 국제적인 현상들에 대해서 조금 지금 역시 우리나라의 상황이 좀 약하다. 이런 얘기들이 나오고 있거든요. 그래서 이거를 제안했습니다. Korea needs to reinvigorate growth.
So if you reinvigorate something, you can hear the re at the beginning, so that means again. If you feel invigorated, you feel very fresh and energetic and strong, after like a good night's sleep, for example.
You look very invigorated this morning.
Thank you.
Good.
But in the afternoon, I might be a little tired, so I might need to reinvigorate myself with a cup of coffee or a brisk walk outside.
Sure.
So when you reinvigorate something, you just bring that feeling back again, that feeling of energy and freshness and strength.
Aha, so you bring back the energy you need. 사람한테도 쓸 수 있고 나라의 경제에도 쓸 수 있는데요. 다시 활기를 불어넣는 겁니다. 그래서 한국이 경제 성장에 있어서 다시 활기를 불어넣을 필요가 있다. 즉 정책적으로 경제에 조금 더 집중을 할 필요가 있다라고 IMF가 제언을 하고 있고요. 또 하나는 also Korea needs to build resilience.
So if you're resilient, that means you can recover from problems, recover quickly too, from some problem you might have in life, maybe an illness, for example. It can also just be challenges in general. Talk about a lot with economies. Can economies bounce back from from problems. Even sometimes it's not even their fault. There's external factors that are affecting something. Or we talk about it a lot with a person. If someone gets sick, are you resilient? Can you bounce back quickly? Or talk about it a lot with sports teams as well. If they're starting to play very badly, how long does it take them to bounce back?
Bounce back is a really good image to have in your head when you think of resilience. 역시 지금 말한 것처럼 사람한테도 스포츠 팀한테도 쓸 수 있고요. 그다음에 나라의 경제에 대해서 역시 쓸 수 있는 회복력, 탄성력이라는 뜻입니다. 오뚜기처럼 넘어졌을 때 다시 이렇게 일어설 수 있는 힘을 말해요. 그래서 그런 것을 조금 더 키워야 된다라고 IMF가 말하고 있습니다. 국제적인 상황에 맞섰을 때 우리나라 경제가 다시 이렇게 우뚝 설 수 있는 힘을 조금 더 키워야 된다라고 IMF가 말하고 있네요. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The International Monetary Fund has lowered its forecast for South Korea's economic growth this year to 2.2%, saying that reinvigorating growth and building resilience to the changing global landscape remain key priorities. Let's move on.
Indians have become the biggest group of international students in the U.S., surpassing Chinese students for the first time this year for the first time in 15 years.
자, 미국에서 유학 중인 외국인 학생 중 인도인 수가 올해 15년 만에 처음으로 중국인을 넘어 1위를 차지했습니다. So not only does India have the most people in the world, the biggest population, now also the number of international students in America are mostly Indians.
That is correct, right. So they're saying that this academic year there was a 23% growth in Indian international students compared to last year. So in the U.S. now, there's just over 330,000 Indian students, and that's compared with around 277,000 Chinese students. This year, there was a 4.2% drop, actually. Now, there are reasons for this. One is there's still lingering impacts of the pandemic era travel restrictions, as well as the big one here is the U.S. government's changing attitude towards China. That is one of the big ones. There's also what students want. Exactly. That's another thing. So for Indian students, they're saying that the pull of good engineering and computer science programs at U.S. universities is a big draw there. Now, India's university-age population is growing. And studying in the U.S. is becoming very, very attractive.
Right.
And what's very interesting is the vast majority of Indian students who come to the U.S. are graduate students, and they also tend to want to stay in the U.S. and work after graduation. So that's a big thing. You make
Which is
that
desirable
money.
for Americans. America, if you're having international students, you want them to stay. No?
I don't know. You might, but then you're also taking jobs from domestic people.
There's that aspect too. Okay.
There is that aspect as well. So but it's more of why they want to come to the U.S.
Right.
They can make connections at school, and then their chances of getting a job are higher. Now, the boom in Chinese students coming to the U.S. was in the 2000s, the first decade of the 2000s, and that was largely driven by the fact that universities outside of China were more affordable than universities in China. Now, because of a lot of geopolitical factors, it's making going to the U.S. less feasible and less appealing. A lot of times now, the United States universities, they're rejecting students who have if they went to any school that had any military ties, they're being rejected.
Sure, exactly. All right, so if we look at the number of international students in America, in terms of percentage, we have Indian students, Chinese students, and then South Korean students.
And Canadian and Taiwanese are all in that next bracket, but they're well below 50,000.
Yeah.
But I was kind of surprised that Korean and Canadian students are in that same sort of that same tier.
Yes, exactly. 자, 그래요. 일단 이제 미국에 있는 국제 학생 수가 인도 학생 같은 경우에는요, 33만 명 정도가 된다고 합니다. 중국 학생은 27만 명 정도여서 인도 학생이 가장 많다라고 볼 수 있고 여러 가지 이유가 있는데 그중에서는 engineering이라든지 science라든지 이런 프로그램들이 참 잘 되어 있고 그런 쪽으로 공부를 하려고 하는 인도 학생들이 많은 이유도 있고요. 그다음에 이제 중국 학생들 같은 경우에는 점점 미국에서 공부하는 것을 좀 꺼리는 여러 가지 요소들이 있다라고 얘기를 해 주셨습니다. Alright, well let's look at international students.
Right, international students. There's a lot of international. There's more and more international students in Korea these days. That's really starting to grow. So that's when students come from their home country to a different country to study.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much usually used for university
I think
students.
so, yeah. Well, it could be,
guess it could be.
any school, any level
Yeah,
of school.
could be.
But you do see a lot more international students in university.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where the money is too.
Yes, very true. 국제 학생을 international students라고 하고요. 자, 그다음에 surpassing.
When you surpass something, you go beyond it. So we talk a lot about it surpassing someone's expectations. Or we're talking about numbers, amounts, then it's becomes greater than that. Or a lot of times even just quality. Sometimes you'll talk about when young players join a team, for example, they'll surpass the veterans quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're starting to get more playing time than the older players.
When the rookies surpass the veterans.
Right.
그러니까 새로 들어온 선수가 기존에 있었던 베테랑 선수보다 더 잘하게 될 때, 능가할 때 이렇게 the rookies surpass the veterans라고 표현할 수 있고요. 그다음에 내가 기대했던 거 이상으로 뭔가가 좋을 때 oh, that surpassed my expectations라고 얘기할 수도 있습니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Indians have become the biggest group of international students in the US, surpassing Chinese students this year for the first time in 15 years.
The U.S. has recognized Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez as the country's rightful president-elect, rejecting incumbent President Nicolas Maduro's claimed victory.
미국이 지난 베네수엘라 대선에서 야권 후보 에드문도 곤살레스가 진정한 승자라는 입장을 밝히면서 니콜라스 마두로 현 대통령의 당선 주장을 일축했습니다. Uh-oh. I think we've seen something similar in the past. It looks like, there's one country, but, two people claiming to be the head of the country.
Yeah, that is right. But for the first time, the U.S. So this is all to do with the election in July.
Yeah.
That's been disputed. This is the first time the U.S. has said that the opposition leader Gonzalez is the country's rightful president-elect. Nicolas Maduro, he's been accused by domestic opponents of falsely claiming victory, and his government has also refused calls to release any data that would confirm his victory.
Oh, no.
So since this disputed election, there have been massive protests in Venezuela. There have been some 28 deaths. Hundreds of people have been injured.
Wow.
Thousands have been arrested. They say 2,400 people, protesters, have been arrested, and only 200 have ever been released. So there's over 2,000 people that are locked up due to
Still
this.
arrested. Oh, my
The
goodness.
opposition leader Gonzalez, he himself had to flee to Spain in September after an arrest warrant was issued for him in the aftermath of the vote. But he said he would return to the country on January 10th when the new presidential term begins. Now, why the Biden administration hadn't previously stated the opposition won. They had said that the opposition won, but they stopped short of recognizing Edmundo Gonzalez as the new leader. They say possibly they were trying to find a diplomatic resolution to the impasse with Maduro's government, but Maduro doesn't seem to want to step down. So now the U.S. is putting more pressure on them by publicly saying Gonzalez is the actual president-elect.
Publicly saying something, 공식적으로 발표했다. 즉 미국에서 이제 공식적으로 베네수엘라에서 마땅한 대통령 당선인은 현 대통령 마두로가 아니라 야권 대표인 곤살레스다라는 공식 입장을 밝혔습니다. 자, 베네수엘라의 대선으로 돌아갈게요. 7월 달에 치러진 대선이고요. 그때 당시에 이제 마두로 현 대통령이 이제 재선에 나왔는데 본인이 당선이 됐다고 발표를 했습니다. 그런데 이제 이게 부정선거다라는 의혹이 계속 제기가 되고 있고 시민들도 거리에 나서서 시위를 계속 하고 있고요. 야권에서도 물론 같은 주장입니다. 이거 부정선거다. 근데 마두로 현 대통령은 아니다. 내가 승자가 맞다라고 하면서는 데이터는 제공하지 않고 있대요. 대선 결과에 대한 데이터는 제공하지 않지만 내가 이긴 게 맞다. 이렇게 하는 참 그런 상황이랍니다. 그래서 미국이 요 분위기를 좀 지켜보고 있었던 것 같아요. 몇 달 동안. 그러다가 이번에 마침내 공식적으로 발표를 해서 앞으로 미국과 베네수엘라의 관계가 어떻게 될지도 귀추가 주목이 됩니다. So Washington says that Gonzalez is the rightful president-elect.
So rightful means correct. Usually we're talking about legally.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see the rightful owner of something means they have a legal right to that. It's their property, for example.
Sure.
It could also be morally someone is rightful because of morals, but it really just means correct. And usually we're talking about legally.
법적으로 맞다. 그러니까 합법적이다. 아니면은 뭐 정당하다, 적법하다 이런 의미로 여기선 쓰고 있고요. 우리가 조금 더 캐주얼하게 썼을 때는 마땅히 뭐뭐하다라는 의미로 쓸 수도 있어요. 물론 이게 형용사니까 in casual speech I might say you are I don't know the rightful owner of that tumbler. I don't know. Would you use rightful in casual conversation?
It would be like so. Let's say there was an item and we found a tumbler and. Like, oh, I don't know whose it is. Well, I'm gonna take it then. I like it.
Yeah.
And then someone might say, oh, you know what? It's actually like it's Paul's tumbler. So, you know, he's the rightful owner. Maybe you should return it to him.
오케이. 사실은 원래 이게 폴의 텀블러야 라고 하면서 캐주얼 스피치에서도 쓸 수 있네요. 그렇지만 거기서 뭐 합법적인이라는 의미라고 우리가 해석하기까지는 그렇게까지는 안 하겠지만 뭐 그게 누구 거야. 사실은 누구 거야 라는 의미로 쓸 수 있고요. 여기서는 베네수엘라의 대통령 당선인이 곤잘레스가 맞다라고 미국에서 입장을 밝힌 거고요. 베네수엘라의 현 대통령 마두로는 아니다라는 입장입니다. So the US has rejected Maduro's claim.
Yeah, they have. So when you reject something, you refuse to accept it or you refuse to believe something. Or also someone might ask you out on a date. And if you refuse, then you are rejecting that person.
그렇죠. 여기서 말하는 rejecting이라는 것은 거부하다. 거절하다의 의미죠. 그러니까 베네수엘라 마두로 대통령의 주장을 미국은 거부하고 있습니다. 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. The U.S. has recognized Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez as the country's rightful president-elect, rejecting incumbent president Nicolas Maduro's claimed victory. Now let's move on to the next headline.
A growing movement in Canada is promoting deconstruction over demolition, focusing on recycling materials from old buildings for new uses.
낡은 건물을 철거하는 대신에 해체하는 방법을 통해 건축 자재를 새롭게 재활용하려는 움직임이 최근 캐나다에서 확산하고 있습니다. This is interesting. So instead of breaking and getting rid of a building, they're just taking it apart.
Right, that's what deconstruction would be, taking it apart and trying to save the pieces. So you mentioned demolition there, smashing everything, but it goes somewhere. Right? Although all that material, the discarded material when you demolish a building does go somewhere. Where does it go? It goes to landfills. And they've estimated in Canada about 30% of all the material in a typical landfill is from construction or renovation or demolition. Now, the largest fraction of that is wood, and wood decomposes and turns into methane, which is a potent greenhouse gas. So that's one of the reasons why this is something that's being promoted now is the environmental impacts of demolition. And also how much can be saved from this. So there's a think tank in Vancouver that's really focused on what they call circular construction. And they've estimated that 60% of all demolished homes last year could have been deconstructed. Ooh. And materials could have been salvaged for reuse and recycling. Now, the flip side to this is that it's more expensive to do, probably a lot more expensive to do deconstruction. So traditional demolition, you've got some machinery, excavators, but it's fast. Sometimes it can just take a day.
Sure.
But now if you're deconstructing, so they say for wood houses, wood-framed houses, it can take about a week, and you've probably got 4 to 6 people and some machinery working on it. But, okay, more labor, takes longer,
Sure.
but you're also creating jobs.
Oh, there
Right,
you go,
so there
yeah.
is that. So there's different sides to this, right? Now, if it's a brick home, they say that can take even longer and cost a lot more,
Okay.
50 to 100% the cost of demolition. So this is this big thing. So now what they're saying is a lot of these think tanks are saying now building codes and standards also need to be changed in Canada because a lot of the building codes expect people to use new materials. So if they actually want this to be advanced, building codes and recertification for used materials needs to be changed. It's also been suggested that there needs to be a market and a space to store used materials so they can be used later on down the line.
Yep, that makes sense. 자, 그러니까 현재는 캐나다에서 뭐 대부분의 나라와 마찬가지로 어떤 건물을 없애고 새로운 건물을 지을 때 철거 작업이 들어갑니다. 그런데 이 철거 작업이 이루어진 다음에 그 쓰레기가 다 어디로 갈까요? 바로 landfill, 매립지로 가게 되죠. 그리고 이런 것들이 결국은 환경 오염의 주범이라고 하는데 자, 그렇다면은 또 다른 방안이 없을까? 그 대안책으로 철거 대신에 해체를 하자는 겁니다. 근데 해체를 하면은 단점이 있어요. 일단은 시간이 많이 걸립니다. 철거는 그냥 이렇게 부시면 되는 거지만 해체는 하나하나 온전한 상태 유지하면서 이렇게 다시 분리하는 거잖아요. 그래서 시간이 많이 걸리고 그만큼 돈이 많이 들고 그렇지만 또 장점도 있습니다. 그러면은 일자리가 생기는 거죠. 이제 철거하는 작업보다는 오래 걸리지만 그만큼 인력이 많이 필요하니까 일자리가 생긴다는 장점. 환경에 훨씬 더 이롭다는 장점. 그래서 이런 장단점을 지금 캐나다에서 재고 있는데 많은 회사에서 이걸 검토하고 있대요. 그럼 철거 대신에 우리도 해체해볼까? 이런 얘기를 하고 있답니다. Alright, let's have a look at our first expression. To promote something.
Promote something, you encourage something, you support it, and you try to advance it.
Sure.
You can also, promotion can also be if there's some big event or you're selling a new product, you want people to know about it, so you advertise that. And again, you're encouraging people to take part in the event, you're encouraging people to buy the new product. In this case, they're trying to encourage people to go down the deconstruction route instead of demolition.
Exactly. 자, 여기서의 promote는 뒤에 나오고 있는 것을 촉진하다. 뒤에 있는 것을 하게끔 하다라는 뜻이에요. 뒤에 나온 단어가 deconstruction, 해체입니다. 철거 대신에 해체를 하자라는 움직임이 캐나다에서 일고 있다라는 얘기가 되겠고 물론 promote에는 이 뜻 말고도 굉장히 많은 의미가 있지만 일단 여기만 이 의미만 좀 보겠습니다.
When you promote something, the key is you're telling people why that thing is good.
Yeah.
You're letting people know why this is something you should get into, why this is something you should watch.
그렇죠. 네, 이게 왜 좋은지 설명을 한다라는 느낌으로 이해하시면 되겠고요. Promoting something.
Yeah, the other usage would be, I'm sure most people know this one, is getting a higher position at work.
Yeah.
You get a promotion, you've been promoted.
그렇죠.
Different usage.
이 승진의 의미를 많이들 아실 거예요. 이제 promotion, get promoted, 승진되다. 네, 그 의미가 여기선 당연히 아니겠죠. 자, 그다음에 focus on something.
When you focus on something, that's the thing that you pay attention to or you try to work on a lot.
Exactly. 무언가에 초점을 맞추다. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. A growing movement in Canada is promoting deconstruction over demolition, focusing on recycling materials from old buildings for new uses. All right, let's move on to our final headline.
More than 40,000 people have protested outside New Zealand's parliament against a controversial bill seeking to reinterpret the country's founding document between British colonizers and Maori people.
뉴질랜드에서 과거 원주민 마오리족과 영국 왕실 간에 체결됐던 건국 조약을 재해석하겠다고 해 논란이 된 법안에 대해 4만 명이 넘는 시위대가 의회 앞에 모여 반대 시위를 벌였습니다. Tell us more.
Well, this is all regards to something called the Treaty Principles Bill. So this was introduced by a member of Parliament. His name's David Seymour. He's in the Libertarian Party. They're a minor party, but they're a member of New Zealand's coalition government. So the government they have now, there's several parties involved. They're considered center-right.
Yeah.
For anyone that wants to understand those things.
Coalition government라는 거는 우리가 말하는 연정이 되겠죠. 연합 정부, 연립 정부가 되겠습니다. 그것을 이루는 정당 중에 하나에서 지금 이런 주장을 내놓고 있는 건데 어떤 거냐면 so that particular party is saying that they should change the bill?
Reinterpret the treaty.
Okay.
It's called the Treaty of Waitangi, and it was signed back in 1840 between the British Crown and around 500 Maori chiefs. Now, the issue with this is that the treaty was written in English, and it was Old English, and the Maori language, and there are stark differences between them.
Oh, no.
And so this has been an issue for 180 years or something. The difference between, so the Maori say, no, it means this, and then the British say, or the English speakers say, well, it says this. So this has been a big issue for a long time in New Zealand. Now, the MP that brought this up, he says that misinterpretations of the treaty have effectively given Maori people special treatment. He says that this bill calls for an end to division by race. Now, the Maoris believe this will lead to an erosion of their rights. They have also said that, and Maori people have said that this party in particular, they're simply hiding their racism behind a facade of we are all New Zealanders with equal rights.
Got it.
Now, the chances of this becoming law are basically zero.
Oh, okay.
Because the prime minister and cabinet ministers and other leaders of the coalition party, they have said they're not going to support this bill in the second reading. However, a lot of people, and this is why are they protesting if basically everyone knows it's not going to pass? Because people are angry that they even were able to table this bill in Parliament. Even reading it in Parliament, a lot of people are saying the coalition government now has really ignited some dangerous social divisions.
자, 그래요. 일단은 통과될 가능성이 거의 없는 안건이지만 안건으로 올라온 것 자체에 대한 뉴질랜드 사람들의 불만이 있대요. 자, 어떤 안건이냐? 이게 한 180년 전에 체결된 조약의 내용인데 영국 사람들과 마오리 부족 간의 이제 조약입니다. 그런데요, 그때 180년 전에 영어로 된 버전이 하나 있고 마오리족의 언어로 된 버전이 이렇게 있었는데 그거를 이제 비교를 해보면은 이게 1대1 대응이 되지 않고 해석이 영어 쪽 해석과 마오리 쪽의 해석이 좀 다르다고 합니다. 그래서 지금 아까 얘기했던 이제 그 해당 정당의 국회의원이 주장하는 건 뭐냐면은 지금 우리가 해석하고 있는 이 조약의 내용은 마오리족에게 특별 대우를 준다. 그래서 재해석을 하자. 그래서 마오리족에게 특별 대우를 주지 말자라는 거고요. 마오리족에선 우리의 인권을 무시하지 말아라. 왜 갑자기 이렇게 하느냐. 180년 동안 잘 지속되어 오던 것을 이런 내용이래요. 근데 어쨌든 이제 이게 재해석할 가능성은 없지만 안건으로 올라온 것 자체가 뉴질랜드에서는 큰 화제라고 합니다. Alright, so to reinterpret something.
When you reinterpret something, you change the way that you understand something or you change the meaning that you've applied to something by looking at it again. So the prefix it means again. In this case, again, we did reinvigorate earlier. So it involves looking at something and rethinking it, reanalyzing it, and saying, you know what, I think it actually might mean this. A lot of the times, because new information has come out, or you're looking at it in a different context, or people just have new ideas on something.
네. interpret라는 것은 뭔가 해석한다는 뜻이 있죠. 그래서 reinterpret는 재해석이 되겠고요. founding document.
That's just the document the written document that establishes something, a country or a company, a business, for example. Usually it's a constitution. In the US, the Declaration of Independence.
자, 여기서 말하는 founding document라는 것은 설립의 근간이 되는 문서가 되겠습니다. 그 조약을 말해요. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. More than 40,000 people have protested outside New Zealand's parliament against a controversial bill seeking to reinterpret the country's founding document between British colonizers and Maori people. All right, well, that's it for the 5 headlines.